There we go. Not sure how that happened, but let's get the show started here anyway. 161. Denny Hamlin cashes in at Las Vegas for his 20th winning season in year 21. 2. Cup guy beats Cup guy to win O'Reilly race. Yay. 3. A public apology from me to Formula One Grand Prix winner Andrea Kimi Antonelli. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Ben and Brandon's Motorsport Monday. I'm your host, Ben Schneider, joined as always by Brandon Grossman. Brandon, how are you?
Doing all right, Ben, and hello to everyone here with Motorsport Monday. It is a wonderful day in the neighborhood, especially if you are in the Toyota camp right now and your name is Denny Hamlin.
Yes, absolutely. 61st career win, and that is going to be the story that we start with here tonight. I want to give a welcome to all of our viewers tuning in here on this Monday evening. Got a lot of good things to talk about here, and we will get started with the Cup Series race. Denny Hamlin, in some ways, picking up right where he left off from his strong season last year that perhaps should have resulted in a championship, but we don't need to open up some old wounds there with that can of worms. We have a new championship format this year, so it doesn't lock him in to the final 10 race postseason, but it goes a long way towards making that happen. A massive points haul for him, and more importantly, his 61st victory in the NASCAR Cup Series. So, Brandon, I'll just open the floor to you to start off this Motorsport Monday here. What were your main takeaways from a NASCAR Cup Series race at Las Vegas, and what is your reaction to Denny Hamlin continuing to add onto that total and breaking a tie with Kevin Harvick for sole possession of 10th on the all-time Cup Series win list?
It was a pretty solid visit to Las Vegas overall. I think I can agree with the Gluck poll where, it wasn't extraordinary. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, Las Vegas, but, it was great. It wasn't, I think it did better than just the average choice there in the list. So a pretty good Las Vegas race. This is the sort of track that this Gen 7 car appeals to, and some good strategy to be expected with Las Vegas through pit lane, and Denny Hamlin able to come back after a speeding penalty. That's the biggest move of the race for him, able to move up all of that. And then Toyota as a whole just had such a great weekend there on the Cup side. Chase Briscoe had to come back through the field a lot and wasn't able to get it done. But Denny Hamlin is finally his 20th season, his 20th winning season here in this 21st year in the Cup Series. And they mentioned yesterday he's at the point now where he could be a lot of the other driver in the field. He could be their father at this point, but he still has that drive, and he's still, in my opinion as well, he's got plenty more in him to potentially reach 70 wins if he wants to, or wherever he wants to go from there, and maybe that elusive championship.
Yeah, you mentioned it. 5 Toyotas in the top 10. All 6 of the Toyota teams have been with Toyota for the longest. No disrespect to Legacy Motor Club, continuing to try to make progress with Eric Jones and John Hunter Nemechek, but they were down in 20th and 21st. But obviously Hamlin wins the race. Christopher Bell turned a pole position into a 4th place finish. Ty Gibbs, 3rd place starting position, finishes 5th. Seems like he might be knocking on the door of a potentially overdue first win. So something to keep our eye on that in regards to that as well. And then, like you mentioned, Chase Briscoe coming back to the field to finish 8th. Bubba Wallace, 9th, 23-11, continuing to fire on all cylinders to start out this year. And Tyler Reddick maybe should have finished up there in the top 10 as well. I know he lost a few spots there in the closing laps, faded to 13th, but still a decent run for him, decent haul of points with some stage points as well. But and Hamlin also 3rd in the first stage, 2nd in stage 2, or excuse me, 5th in the second stage, I meant to say there. So that brings him to 70 total points on the afternoon there in Las Vegas. So like I said, a massive, massive haul for him. I also want to ask you on, you mentioned Denny's win total. Obviously 60 wins is something that Kyle Petty has mentioned in the past and brought it up again either last night or this morning or this afternoon. But he still is of the mindset that with how much parity we see today, how much competition we see today, he thinks Denny will be the last driver in the Cup Series to get to 60 wins. Do you see somebody like a Joey Logano or Kyle Larson or William Byron or Chase Elliott getting there one day if they stay long enough? Or do you think that the competition is so spread out now that it's going to be hard for somebody to get to that mark that Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch and now, of course, Denny Hamlin as well in the last couple of years have gotten to?
He makes a really good point. There is a lot of parity in the Gen 7 era, but I think as the era of car fizzles out and we start to see who the haves and the have-nots are, I think we get more of a consistent look, especially at places like mile and a halves like this, where this is where you kind of have that standard base of who you expect to excel and who's going to be struggling. But yeah, maybe 60 might be an unreachable mark that to Kyle's point we may never see again. But I could definitely see, like you mentioned, someone like Joey Logano or Kyle Larson or somebody like that making the 50 before they hang up the helmet. But yeah, 60 is a pretty impressive number. It does harken back to the days of whenever, if you had the right combination of things going well for you, you could easily knock down that many wins in a few years of running. But yeah, it's an impressive feat for sure, and it's still got plenty of life left in it. It's don't sit on it here at 61. I imagine that's going to be a lot higher before he's finally done with it, Denny Hamlin. And also, you just mentioned Toyota as a whole. Ty Gibbs, who knows where Ty Gibbs' career is going to go? They seem to be convinced that it's not if he's going to get his first win, but when he's going to get his first win this season. I really thought it was going to be in the desert, but I guess we're going to have to wait for another weekend. But I think it's going to come for him here pretty soon too.
So I guess, it's ironic. We did this for O'Reilly last week with Allgaier. I guess we might as well do it with the Cup Series here now. I don't have the graphic, but I'll just read the names off. I think most people are familiar with most of these top 10 here, but obviously no one will ever catch the King, Richard Petty. I thought maybe Jeff Gordon could have kept going a couple more years if he had some better luck there. If he hadn't had his winless seasons in 08 and 10, maybe could have caught David Pearson. But at this point, I think 105 is out of reach. I think Jeff Gordon's 93 is out of reach. And I would even say these four drivers that are so close to one another here, each within 2 wins. Bobby Allison's 85, Darrell Waltrip's 84, Jimmy Johnson and Cale Yarborough's 83. You're probably not going to see that again either. I think there's definitely enough parity in our sport right now that at least any time in the near future, I think those numbers are a little bit out of reach. Then you get to Dale Earnhardt with 76 wins. I don't know if Denny Hamlin can quite catch Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Yeah, that one's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, that one would be, he'd have to go on a couple. He'd probably have to have a Kyle Larson 2021 type season where he wins 10 races here in either next year or this season here. Otherwise, I don't think he's got enough years left to average 2 or 3 a year to get to that mark there. Unfortunately, I think his longtime Gibbs teammate Kyle Busch's 63 is well within reach maybe this season. I don't see Kyle adding to that total this year, at least outside of maybe a super speedway track if he can work with draft right or pit strategy of some sort. I think RCR is too far behind the 8 ball right now. And I think the future of Kyle Busch will also be very interesting. We talked about this on this show here to start the year as well. An interesting quote, I have to say, coming out of a motorsport.com tweet that I saw that my pal Kobe Lambeth sent me this afternoon, him suggesting, is it me being held back by my equipment? Am I doing something to hold the team back here? So his future is going to be very interesting for sure. I don't know off the top of my head where he ended up here this week. I'm trying to find him actually in the race results here. I see Austin Dillon was 12, Kyle Busch all the way down in 28th. So it is not all sunshine and rainbows over at RCR right now there.
No, it is
then
not.
you get to Denny Hamlin, at 61 here. So again, you look at all these names that he is in company with here. Again, the only thing that he's missing is that championship, and we'll see if this is finally, we say this every year, is this finally going to be the year? He's off to a good start, and he's showing that he hasn't lost any of his fight and passion and drive and desire whatsoever. But we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, it's a long season, but again, this goes a long way towards building that case as one of those drivers that will have the most momentum and have the biggest advantage going into this new revived chase format that we'll have for the final 10 races here in 26.
Speaking of Chase, Chase Elliott staying pretty consistent here with Las Vegas, coming out P2. And also want to shout out RFK for a solid weekend, 6th, 10th, and 11th, respectively. Brad Keselowski still working with that injury recovery from over the offseason. Top 10, getting it pretty solid, getting it done there at Las Vegas. And then Kyle Busch's teammate, Austin Dillon, oh, goodness, 12th. Not too bad for RCR, RCR standards, but yeah, that whatever is wrong with that Kyle Busch team, you got to feel for him because it's been going on for multiple seasons. It feels like the last big string of success we can remember, at least I can remember, is the Auto Club win back in I guess 2022 or 23.
23, yeah.
Yeah, 23, yeah.
Yeah, it was the first of 3 wins that he got that year. I don't remember off the top of my head where the second was. I know he won a Gateway as well, right. And I believe
he's nearing 100. He's nearing 100 now of races without a win.
Yes, he is, and that is frankly astonishing given what we know the talent that Kyle Busch possesses. And that's the other thing. I mean, we know it. It's not. I mean, that was the other thing that you said in that quote as well. He hasn't forgotten how to drive, and we saw it in the truck race at Atlanta earlier this year. Spring Talladega was the middle race there that he won in 2023 with RCR. So, again, I remember being on grid and saying, like, this is a statement win for Kyle, for RCR to come in here with this new partnership and only your second race and only winning one race his final year at JGR, and to already be able to say that here at RCR, and then to rack off 2 more and then go. I mean, we're coming up on 2.5, almost 3 years, like you said, Brandon, since he last won a Cup race,
it's been a long time since I've been able to go to Cheddar's for a Kyle Busch win. I think they probably just have ripped that special out of the menu.
Weren't they doing something with like a top 8 finish for his number 8?
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah,
we were saying even that might be.
Yeah, we took advantage of that. I think for the Gateway win or one of those, like one time.
Yeah, he finished. I'm just looking at his results here. He finished 8th at Darlington, 8th at Vegas, and 5th at Phoenix. Those were his only top 10s after Sonoma last year.
Oh, you might have to do it for 28th nowadays.
Yeah, the entire second half of the year, only 3 top 10 finishes last season, and no top 10s through 5 races this year. Obviously, he had the pole at Daytona for whatever that's worth, but they're looking to right that ship for sure.
You get half of a chicken crisper for finishing 28th.
Yes, and thank you, Iceman. Just seeing your comment here now as well.
Thank you, Iceman.
Appreciate it. Well, speaking of looking to right the ship, Brandon, I understand you had a note that you wanted to make about the current state of the Fox broadcasts here in 2026.
Yes, well, if you've noticed, Fox has improved, I would say, here in 2026. They didn't have the new graphics package after we left Bowman Gray Stadium yet because they were still working with the Super Bowl, of course, and waiting for the NFL season to wrap up. And then we saw it at Daytona, and by and large, I think it's a very simplistic, moving forward for Fox as far as the graphics package, and it's a lot more. I guess it's easier to understand. There's a lot less going on that's distracting, and it also under new direction for the first time in several years as far as the broadcast as a whole. And I think to a lot of fans are enjoying it for these first few weeks. But between Fox and IndyCar, just the Fox's production house and the creation of Speed with Harvick and Buxton, that intro in particular, and a bunch of different things they do for promotionals, they have it's always something with Fox, isn't it? Like, I feel like we're gaining so much ground. What are they doing? They're experimenting with the toy of the day. They're experimenting with AI, and not just a little bit. No. Fox has to. They're making a bunch of videos. They're putting it in all sorts of things, and they're making entire intros actually and promotions for races, just AI video it's one thing if it looks okay. I guess it's not it wouldn't be my first choice, but if you are one of the premier broadcasting partners of a huge sport, can you do something better? Can you use actual archive footage that you have of these things actually happening?
Well,
Don't you think that would look better? I know it probably costs money to get people to put those together, but you're going to start having your fan base as a whole start to revolt as they are right now on X, and especially with what kind of broke everyone was this Joey Logano video for Darlington coming up this Sunday for the Goodyear 400. You can look around on X and you'll find it, but it's Joey Logano burning out on the start finish line, and it's kind of this car is a combination of a Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6, and Gen 7 all at once, and it I guess their target demographic, maybe their demographic of age 50 and up maybe doesn't care, or maybe someone with maybe that doesn't have a creative eye doesn't care and doesn't see a difference. But between that and the intro for the new speed show and everything, someone is having way too much fun with this experiment, and it's time to stop, please.
Yes. First of all, sorry if you can hear the background noise. Normally I've got to worry about the traffic, but we're under a wind advisory right now, so fingers crossed. I don't think I've had a power outage since I've been in this apartment.
Oh, you're grabbing what we got yesterday. Now we had some snow flurries today from the Canadian air.
And what's crazy? It's in the mid 50s right now, and it's going to stay in the mid 50s overnight. And then as the sun comes up, the temperature is going to drop tomorrow down to the low 40s. So
you're kind of getting what we had delayed. Yeah. We had some tornado and stormy stuff yesterday, and then snow today.
Yeah, so it's wild weather that we're having all across the country. But I think we're looking at the same tweets. I wish I'd bookmarked them and saved them here so I could display them, but I'll just read them off. Breakhard at Breakhard Blog tweeted, Fox updated their AI slap burnout commercial. Joey Logano's number 22, a car that won at Darlington in a race that they broadcast only 4 years ago, by the way, but I digress. Gen 4, 5, 6, 7, all in one car. Not the current Mustang body. Spoiler from 2001. Auto Trader 22 on the quarter is something.
It's a little misspelled. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Illuminated taillights again. Rear wheels different than front. Chrome limps 2 ? And actually, my editor-in-chief, Brock Beard, replying to that tweet with a GIF that says it does look like naughty word for crap. You can figure it out from there. Chase Holden at Garage Guy Chase, and this goes to a demographic that you were talking about, Brandon. I would love to do a study of NASCAR fans by age group that actually care about this. The core base is right around 50 plus, and most boomers can't tell the difference. So by the numbers, it makes sense to use it. But outside of creatives, I'm curious to see if anyone else cares. Brad Perez. Brad Perez on Twitter at Brad X Perez. In a world of partners always striving to get their logos and brand guidelines correct, having a major broadcast partner cheap out and use an AI-generated car instead of paying a proper artist to render this is lazy, inaccurate, and a bad representation of the sport. He has 706. Oh, it just went up. 771 likes on that tweet, by the way, to Chase's 109. I think the kids call that a ratio, right? But Aaron Bearden. Yeah. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, if you try crap for too long like that, you're right, and justifiably you are going to be called out.
Yes. And Aaron Bearden responding to this as well, saying this feels right. It's not the casual fan. It's not that the casual fan, is going to catch it. It's specifically that the people that care the most are likely to see it and be unimpressed. So again, I don't think that Chase is wrong here. The core fan base is very old compared to other sports leagues and other forms of entertainment. They probably cannot tell the majority of the time. And this is what's frightening and scary. We could do a whole show on this alone, but the amount of times I scroll, I can't use Facebook anymore. I may be logged on Facebook once a month to clear my notifications, but my timeline is all just AI generated clickbait, bullcrap, fake news articles. And then you go into the comments and it's all, you can tell, assuming the profile pictures are actually them, it's all boomers age 60 and up that are like saying, wow, this is so inspiring, or, oh, this is so terrible. I'm never watching this person again or supporting any of their work. And it's like, it's so clearly and obviously fake to us. And that's the irony, right? Our parents and grandparents raised us on don't talk to strangers on the internet. Don't don't believe everything that you see on the internet. And now we have to be the ones who are literate enough in media to be able to tell, hey, this is AI generated. This is fake news. Please do not believe this, and repost it and comment as if it's 100% fact. But again, so he's not wrong here. The majority of those fans are probably going to see that commercial and assume that it's real or assume that it's a graphic that an artist actually rendered, probably at best. But the younger fans, the ones that care about AI, that care about getting creatives out there and getting their work, if you're going to hire somebody, if you're not going to use actual footage that you have, that's fine. But pay a talented artist or use a talented artist's work, commission them to design you something. Don't plug it into Chat GPT or Copilot or whatever else we have, Google Gemini, whatever. I mean, I can't keep up with all the different brands that are launching their own AI services here and chatbots and everything. But I mean, my goodness, it's just, you have to wonder. Again, it seems like there is a large portion of the population that does not care or maybe can't even tell the difference, and that's why they don't care. But if they do care, it seems like it's overwhelmingly negative response. I don't know why you continue to double and triple down unless you're just trying to save money or trying to save time or resources or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, to say the least, I think the fan base is certainly wishing Fox would lay off of the artificial intelligence a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm astounded by how many things just in the common day are just AI posters. They just make the whole, put all my text into a poster, and schools are doing this. I mean, local businesses, it's all over the place. And I don't see how people can't tell the common theme, why they all look sort of similar. It's because they're all done by AI slop. And thank you, Louise. There's too many. Sora, Only Bulls, blah, blah, blah. They're all the same to me.
Yeah, Sora. I forgot about Sora. I was seeing that one cycle around TikTok not too long ago. I don't know if people are still using that, but yeah. Well, and again, I mean, it's like it's showing up in YouTube Shorts, with getting hundreds of millions of views. It's just, and people don't know any. I mean, you look in the comments, and it's like, how do you not see that? This is so obvious to you and me, Brandon, and other people our age. But it's again, I mean, we can laugh at the absurdity of it, but it is quite frightening, I think, in many respects as well, just how prevalent it's getting to be here.
Getting back to racing, though, my biggest complaint was that it's making its way onto one of the big networks that covers our sport, and it's really just a sign of not wanting to hire people and cost cutting and laziness. Yeah. And it's not gonna carry on too much farther if they keep making it as blatant as it is. And I guarantee you, once we get to the prime and TNT parts of the season, they're not going to be using AI slop. And I dare say that USA Network is not going to be doing that either.
Yeah, I certainly hope not. We'll wait and see for sure when we get to that point of the year. But again, it continues to evolve so quickly. Keep your fingers crossed. I'd like to think that they will see the feedback that Fox is having to deal with right now and stay away from that. I haven't seen that on their socials, at least not NASCAR related. Obviously, we're not at that portion of the season yet, but something to keep your eye on as well for sure. Something else to keep our eye on. This got some attention post race. Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez having a little bit of a run in the closing laps, and Suarez running up against Chastain's car a couple of times on the cool down lap. And shout out to RJ as well on Twitter for putting this together. Trying to sync the audio that we got from Ross's in-car camera, that the audio that it picked up, with the video that we saw of the confrontation on pit road. Take a listen to this. I saw your reaction backstage. Are you seeing that for the first time there?
Yeah, it's first time. Oh man. Yeah.
I think he pretty clearly says you got fired.
You got fired. Get out of here. Get out of here. You got fired. Oh man. I'm sorry to all of Daniel's amigos, but unfortunately that seems to be the truth, that he was fired from Trackhouse Racing. And trying to make something here at Spire. It seems to be going well, but altercation on track and getting a little too confrontational with a former teammate who also isn't afraid to be confrontational as well, that of Ross Chastain. So Glad we had plenty of people in front of them so they could talk this out reasonably, or at least fizzle it out reasonably. But yeah, that reveals some suspicions that are made true.
Yeah, well, then another tweet from Noah Lewis, who was this looks like the video is a front stretch interview here as well. Noah Lewis tweeting, Daniel Suarez tells reporters that he and Ross Chastain's relationship, quote, has always been a little weird, a little two-faced, end quote. The two were teammates Trackhouse for many years. And I've got to say, I've met Ross Chastain is one of the few drivers in the Cup Series right now, but I actually have met. I got to meet him at Dover in 2018, long before he was in a Quality Cup ride, right after he won that race, ironically, Las Vegas, I believe it was, in the DC Solar car with Chip Ganassi, and had that deal ready to go. And then, of course, that sponsorship fizzled out and everything, but was still driving the JD Motorsports car as his regular ride at the time, and perfectly nice guy. And I've from everything that I've seen as well, and know a couple of others of people that have interacted with him over the years as well. Great guy to be around, and obviously a tremendous story. But I have always gotten the sense that, he talks like Mark Martin when he's out of the car, but he races like Dale Earnhardt when he's in it. He would always be very overly aggressive on track, usually finding himself in these situations and having these confrontations on pit road after the races, and then getting out of the car and saying, yeah, man, I deserve it. I made a mistake. I just stopped using my head here. I overdrove the car. And, I kind of wish that he would either stop doing that on the track or embrace the Intimidator-esque style of driving that he seems to have and own up to it in a different way and be a little more unapologetic about it and make it part of his personality to, if you're truly apologetic about it, that's great, but don't do it again and don't make it a regular thing.
Well, on CBS's Survivor, that's just what they call playing my game. He's just playing his game. That's the way he rolls. And remember, he was the former one that we used to say, oh, he's just wrecking everywhere. He's a mess. And now it's Carson Hocevar. So, give Hocevar a couple of years to mature and fill that 77 seat and watch him his game be a little more refined.
There you go. We move on now to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race. Absolute all-time shocker here. Kyle Larson entered the race and won. He beat fellow Cup driver Chase Briscoe to do it. What a shocker, right?
Wow.
Congratulations. Yeah. Yay.
Well, good show, fellas. Kyle Larson and Chase Briscoe, some Cup drivers in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race, and they're the ones that are 1-2 at the end. I don't see any other Cup guys there besides Justin Allgaier, who was in the 48 this weekend. So I guess in a way, no, he's not. I'm just joking.
Yeah. Connor was there. Connor's technically a Cup guy now in 7th.
Zillage, yeah.
And
he's just transitioning out,
Yes. But, and I thought there was one more. Who was it here? Cole Custer, I believe it was back in the in the Zero car. Finished in 18th. So yeah,
there's some though that they do the Cup leaching, but it's like, but are they really? They teeter-tottered back and forth, and I felt like Cole Custer is one of those.
People would have less of a problem, I think, with Custer and Zillage than they do. Certainly Kyle Larson, but also Chase Briscoe, I think, to an extent as well. But
yeah,
I've made my point very clear. I didn't love Daniel Suarez winning in Mexico last year. I'm sure that is a very unpopular opinion, but I try to stay consistent, man.
You don't love the headlines.
I get it. I said I mostly didn't. I mostly still had a problem. I understand that one had some net positives to it, but I have always said, listen, if you are running for Cup points, you are a Cup driver. I don't want you in this series. Period. Point blank. End of discussion. So the same rules apply because it gets on my nerves when people say, "Oh, they only hate it when Kyle Busch does it. When Chase Elliott does it, it's great. When the Hendrick car does it," I'm like, listen, this is not a Kyle Busch problem. Kyle Busch was the one who is most known for the issue, but it's not just him. It's everybody that does it. I'm not a fan of it. And although I am with you, Luis, I do hate that Lionel never released the original scheme. It
would have been so easy, Luis. just give me a black Quaker State car.
Yeah,
I think rip it off the line.
I think that's the one. But I think that's the one they did release, though. I think Luis is talking about the original scheme. But
the original. Oh, got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the race version. Yeah, the race version was accurate, but he wrecked his primary scheme. That was the other thing. Again, I'm not, and this is a nice segue actually into what I want to talk about here tonight. I'm not saying it's not an accomplishment what Suarez did. I'm just saying, from an ethical consistency standpoint, I can't let myself fully enjoy it as much as I think a lot of other fans did there. Yeah, a 2-pack. I don't think that would have been very difficult there. Thank you, Luis, for tuning in, by the way. I'll catch up on your last comment here. I literally thought about it on Saturday. Ross has become civilized compared to Carson right now. Then this happens, LOL.
Well, yeah. I don't think anything got too. I feel like that was more like. Did you not think that felt like Daniel Suarez was confronting Chastain and Chastain's trying to ease the situation, or did you see that differently?
I don't know that reminding the guy that he got fired is trying to ease the situation, but I do think that. I think Suarez certainly started it. I think he was the one that was confronting Ross initially, but Ross. It's not like Ross just ignored him or walked away. Like Ross got back up in his face a little bit there, but again, I think relatively tame compared to. The one that at Vegas that comes to mind for me is Logano and Busch in 17. And
that was blood. There will be blood.
That was much more serious than this was. But caught my editor-in-chief Brock Beard's live stream last night. This issue obviously came up talking about Kyle Larson, and want to play a clip from Brock's stream. Obviously, he and I very much aligned in our overall take on this. I do differ from him a little bit in terms of, I think, why we're not a fan of Cup drivers in the lower divisions, but I will let Brock speak for himself here. This is about a minute from his show last night, Behind the Wall with Brock, on his YouTube channel. Take a listen to this.
I just think it's perverse. I think it's unsportsmanlike, and I think it's cruel. And I think it's also undoes what the O'Reilly series should be doing, which is developing new talent. New sponsor isn't going to give a crap that a guy finishes 5th in a race behind 4 Cup regulars. They're going to be, are you winning races? Can you win? And it's not fair in the same respect to say, oh, well, they couldn't beat these Cup guys, so they're not that good. It's like they're not on the same level playing field here. And again, even when it did happen back in the day, when you had like the occasional race where like David Gilliland would win Kentucky in a car like that, he got a Cup Series ride, but was he really ready for it at that point? Was that the best measure of it? And it ultimately didn't, he didn't pull off a Cup win, had a long career in the sport. But again, is that any better than a situation where you allow these guys to win as many O'Reilly and Truck Series races?
Yeah. So, again, I don't disagree with almost anything Brock says here. I think the only 2 points that we disagree on, and you can go watch the full stream for yourself here. Obviously didn't want to, completely just rip his entire stream and re-show it on our channel tonight here. But I think Brock will oftentimes look at this, and I think he said it on his stream last night as well. Like we're supposed to be impressed by this as if it's some sort of accomplishment at all. And I have a hard time with that just because I think there is genuine talent in the Xfinity series. Or see, did it again. Put one in the jar there, Brandon. The O'Reilly series.
I almost believed you.
Yeah. But I do. I think, Sheldon Creed, congratulations to Sheldon Creed on another win in class, I guess, with a 3rd place finish. Obviously, we just talked last week, Justin Allgaier, as far as I'm concerned, should have a Hall of Fame resume here. Jesse Love, your defending champion. Brett, do you have access to pull up comments?
I do. Look at me. I can press buttons. Yeah. we need BOP for the Cup guys in O'Reilly.
Silent, by the way. I'm glad you were here. I just finally finished watching your video on who is the NASCAR GOAT. It's absolutely excellent. Very well done. And I gave you a follow back on Twitter as well. I'm sorry. I don't know how I missed that when you initially followed me. Everybody go check out that video, Who is the NASCAR GOAT. Very, very well done. It is almost a 2-hour runtime, but I promise you it is very much worth it. It gave me a Secret Base kind of vibes when I was watching it. So very well done to you there. But yeah, I think that's, again, maybe people don't have a problem. And this came up on the stream last night as well with Cole Custer doing it as much with his situation, or like the example that I saw was, Kyle Busch getting in his own equipment in 2012 after the whole Hornaday incident and saying, I'm only going to do nationwide at the time for my own team and not for Gibbs. I think situations like that could maybe be used to mitigate the effects of this. You're welcome there. I appreciate you being here in the chat tonight as well. That means a lot to us also. So I think that there are ways around that that could make it more interesting. But getting back to the only places where I differ with Brock here, I don't love reducing the level of talent that exists in O'Reilly and trucks. I'm not putting Kyle Busch on the level of Richard Petty with his 200 wins, but there are talented drivers in this field. I don't think it's as simple as like, Brandon, you and I couldn't hop in an O'Reilly car and be competitive right away, right?
Not a chance. Not even in 5 months.
The top step below the pinnacle of stock car racing. These are the guys that are just knocking on the door of those rides, and a lot of them going to be in those rides one day.
Yeah.
So I think it's, again, you have to, and even in the case of like Kyle Larson this week, he had to beat a fellow Cup driver to do it. Especially when you have multiple guys in the field, and we'll get into that in just a moment here as well. But that's the first place where I think Brock and I maybe differ slightly. The second one is I don't love blaming the drivers for it. And Brock talking about how it's unprofessional, everything. And again, I don't disagree entirely, but my fault has never been with the Kyle Bushes and Kyle Larsons and Chase Briscoes of the world. My fault has been with the sponsors and the owners that provide the incentive and the financial reason to do it. And I think the best example of that is the 2007 AT&T 250 in Milwaukee.
There it is.
Yes. And by the way, I am about to get to that race in my season rewatch that I'm doing for the massive project that I'm working on right now.
He's going through the entire season.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the second
channel.
Nashville race. Yeah, it's the middle of the second Nashville race right now. Working on that. Yeah, the beginning of the end came up again. There's another shameless plug for Brock Slapshoe's video there. But Regan Smith's Bush team might be in a little bit of trouble right now if you saw my tweet on that last night. But coming up on that Milwaukee race, Denny Hamlin, very adamant in his Victory Lane interview, to his credit, saying, listen, I didn't want to get in the car. I knew Eric was going to be pissed when we pulled him out. But he admitted, we've got a team here that made the decision. They got people in the suites, for our sponsors home race that were expecting to see me in the car, but wanted me in the car. Even though I got here late, we made the driver change. It is what it is. But it wasn't his choice. Now, again, I don't know that situation can be completely applied. I mean, obviously Kyle Busch, that is, has talked in the past about how if they kept limiting, Cup drivers from participating, say, in a truck series, that he might pull the plug on Kyle Busch Motorsports as a whole, which ironically enough, he ultimately ended up doing anyway when he sold Aspire. But, different drivers have their different reasons, I'm sure, for being down there. But to make a blanket statement and say it's unprofessional on the driver's part, again, I understand racing is in these guys' blood here. If they have the opportunity, it's within the rules. I can't necessarily fault them as much as I would blame the owners and sponsors for, again, I know it all comes down to money and sponsorship and resources and finances and all that stuff, but they're not the ones that I blame as much as those guys there. But I also think it's important to remember, as I'm going through the 2007 season, this was the tweet that I sent out. Again, apologize, it might be a little bit small there if you can't tell some of those names. I'll go ahead and list them off for you here in a second, but this is what I tweeted out. 2026 Las Vegas, Cup guy wins with Cup guy in second. 2007 Las Vegas, hold my beer. Here's the result. I should have said hold my Bush beer, actually, because Bush was the sponsor at the time.
Hold my Bush.
Yes, but let's just go through these names, Brandon. Let's go through these names. Jeff Burton.
Well, let's do it. Yeah.
Cup guy. Kyle Busch, Cup guy. Tony Stewart, Cup guy. Kurt Busch, Cup guy. David Stremme, Cup guy. Carl Edwards, Cup guy. He had an 800-point lead in a championship at one point this year. Kevin Harvick, Cup guy, won the championship by 800 points the year before. Bobby Labonte. Oh, look at that. We get down to ninth place. We finally, Shane Huffman, congratulations on your class win.
But wait,
Motorsports right there. Yeah.
There's more.
There's a lot more.
Marcus Ambrose.
Yes. So you've got a few. Well, Marcus wasn't full-time quite yet there, but
he was getting there.
Yeah, you've got a few. Yeah, well, yeah, JTG teammates there at the time, Marcus Ambrose, John Wood. But then we can keep going there. We have Denny Hamlin, Cup driver. Mike Wallace was a full-time Busch regular at that time. He had the Geico scheme and everything was with Phoenix Racing, but Bobby Hamilton Jr., full-time Busch driver. But then you got Ward Burton, you got Joe Nemechek, you got a couple more here, Steve Wallace, Stephen Light, J.J. Yaley is a Cup guy, Juan Pablo Montoya. How many Cup guys are in your top 20 alone here? And we can keep going down the list. You got Jeff Green, David Reagan, Dave Blaney, Casey Kane, Jamie McMurray, Reed Sorensen, David Ruderman, David Gilliland, Paul Menard, Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth, Clint Boyer, Casey Mears. 26 full-time Cup drivers in 2007 entered the Busch Series race at Las Vegas the previous day.
And a partridge in a pear tree, that was just about the entire field. It was Cup light. It was getting ready for the next day.
Yeah, I mean, somebody replied to my tweet and said, buddy, this thing is a Cup race. It's
right. No. You misunderstand me. This is a Nextel Cup Series race.
Yes. Yeah, this was a Cup race where they invited some of the top Busch regulars to tag along, I guess. But I mean, 26, I think that is well over 50% of the starting field being double duty drivers. I will take 4. I would wish it, of course, if I ran the world and were king for a day, that is one of the rules I would implement. If you are running for Cup points, I don't want you in these series. However, if this is the compromise, 4 is a lot closer to 0 than it is to 26. I am thankful that we no longer have fields like that. And by the way, again, because I said I'm rewatching the whole season, that was not an outlier. That might have been, I think that might have been the most that we got all year. But there were 20 plus guys at Daytona. There were, I think, 23 guys at Texas. Atlanta was much, I think Atlanta had the entire top 10 covered by Cup regulars the next week. So, I mean, again, we have come a long way in making the series better for full-time series regulars without nearly as much interference and infiltration of the Cup guys in what is now the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. I think we can take a little bit of solace in the fact that it's much better than it was. And I don't love the fact that it's back up to 10 races this year. I don't love the fact that Raja Karuf has to step out of the 88 and get into the Jordan Anderson 32 this week. I don't love the fact that Connor Zilic is in the 1 instead of Carson Kvapil. But, man, it is much better than it used to be there. And credit to JRM, by the way, because they have worked out the. I mean, Carson is going back and forth between the 9 and another seat to round out his schedule. Raja Karuf obviously has Jordan Anderson deal going for him. So to Dale's credit, I mean, but again, I think this, who I just bring up, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his sponsors and everything, a lot of this is driven by the finances of this sport. So again, as much as we can laugh at Kyle Larson being out there and stinking up the show, and even Connor Zilic to an extent, because he is a Cup driver this year, and he is interfering with a ride that's normally taken by somebody who's going for a championship. I don't think it's necessarily entirely on them either, as much as it is the circumstances and business of a sport, which again, it's very easy for me to sit here and say, if you have Cup Series points declared on your NASCAR license, you're not running these races this year. But I do understand from a business perspective, it's not as easy as just, waving a magic wand and making this issue go away and sorting itself out. I do know the business of the sport is complicated. That doesn't mean that I have to love and appreciate it in the same way, however, and I will continue to make the case for why I believe it does more harm than good, specifically to the series regulars that are trying to make a name for themselves here.
Yeah, you mentioned finances, and that's kind of how it all operates. I mean, the lawsuit we just went through back at the end of the year reminds me how much goes on behind the scenes to make ends meet at some places. That it reminds me that we're still in that kind of ecosystem recovery mode that we probably will be in for several years with changes slowly being implemented. Hopefully, the chase coming back being one of them, but there's I guess the charter system, permanent charters also playing a factor too. But they still use the thank you, Joe. The names are made here slogan. It's pure raw racing nowadays in the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. That's what they've changed it to. But it's pure raw racing for the 2 Cup guys that finished 1-2, at least this weekend.
Yes, and again, the context with Chase Briscoe being in that car. Brent Cruz not old enough yet to run the 1.5 miles. So once he turns 18, that will be his ride. And again, he still has aspirations, I think, to make the chase. No pun intended. Chase filling in for him this week, of course. But speaking of a chase and speaking of a championship, and the whole reason that I'm rewatching Iceman, I hope you're still here. Going to talk about the Owners' Championship here again. It will make things interesting between the 1 car and the 19 car, and having a couple of Cup guys in that car. What is that going to do to where those cars rank the Owners' Championship? And also continue to send our best wishes out to Alex Bowman, who is continuing with his battle with vertigo right now. Hope that he's in the car, back in the car as quickly as possible. But again, I know Anthony Alfredo and Justin Allgaier. Where did Allgaier end up? I had the results pulled up here. Looks like Allgaier ended up 25th.
25th,
actually, which is better than he was running. I know that the 48 team had some. Again, maybe this is vindication for Alex Bowman, if anything, that it's not just him right now, but that is the reason that team is not where the other 3 cars are at the Hendrick Motorsport stable. But let's maybe if Alex Bowman, and I'm not wishing this on him at all, but I'm just saying if he's still out of a car by the time we get to Talladega, say, and maybe Justin Allgaier finds a way to work his way in the draft up to the front there and brings home a good haul of points, or even wins the race. And again, it's a little bit different now that we don't have win and you're in, but that's another area where if we have a slight discrepancy in the drivers and owners standings at the end of the year, something to keep an eye on if you do follow the Owners' Championship in that way, which I know I think Iceman and I are probably the only couple of guys that look at it this closely. But make a note of that, because that, again, I think that came up with in 24 when Kyle Larson missed the Coke 600 and Allgaier got in the 5 car, and the 5 had more points from Allgaier's haul that he had that night than Kyle Larson did. And I think, if I remember correctly, the 5, I think, won the regular season championship on the owner side of things, but Kyle Larson didn't. On the drivers, there was another kind of split result there because of that slight discrepancy, just even in that one race. So is something to, obviously far from a guarantee this early that it'll make a difference once we get time for the chase reset, but something to keep an eye on, and especially in O'Reilly, which is where we see those split championships much more often. So again, stay tuned to my channel in the coming months. That's why I'm rewatching the entire 2007 series here. By the way, another bit of a show and tell here, another eBay find that I got this week, the Holiday Inn hat.
Oh, nice.
From, I think this is actually 2009, because this is the updated Holiday Inn logo here. So
little different shade of green for 2009.
Yeah. And you've got the Holiday Inn Express logo there on the side. So
nice.
08 for sure at the earliest. I think that's 09 though, technically. But keep an eye on that in the coming months here on this channel.
Well, Ben
Kobe,
should oh yeah, go ahead.
The Proving Ground is the other slogan that they're using.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Shall we go to Shanghai? Shall we go to Shanghai?
I think we shall. Yes. So again, and shout out to Kobe as well. I watched the clip that they posted from their wrap-up show yesterday, and I would like to do the same right now. I can't tell you how many times I was on Encore saying, can we let this guy get a podium in F2? I don't even know if it was a podium. I think at first it was like, can we let him get a top 5 or a points finish in F2 first before we start hyping him up as the next big thing here as a future world champion waiting in the wings. He still has a ways to go before that. But this is a great start towards backing up that hype. Kimi Antonelli winning the Chinese Grand Prix for Mercedes. George Russell in second. Mercedes 1-2 here once again. Brandon, what are your thoughts before I get into my few words that I have to say to Kimi? But I want to give you a chance to react as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you have to say to Kimi, but I gotta think his family is very proud of that young man there, watching back from Italy. It's really cool to see. I mean, of course, Mercedes having the start to the year that they're having and just being the class of the field, but they got a lot of help from Ferrari. Let's be real. Between Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, just trying to take each other out lap after lap. Lewis Hamilton really wanting that podium. He really worked for it, and he did earn it at a place where he's had so much success in the past. Ferrari fans finally able to have a couple of good weeks of, okay, maybe things are looking up with this the new regulations. But yeah, big for Kimi Antonelli, and for Mercedes. And Toto Wolff is just, he's got that sly confidence sitting in that chair between Australia and Shanghai. He's just kind of, the headphones back. He's got his little entourage around him, just kind of, yes, it's all coming together. So I look forward to seeing this young man's progress with great interest, as Chancellor Palpatine would say. Antonelli is going places with his first Grand Prix victory.
I did feel bad for him that the public address announcer called him Kimi Räikkönen as he was walking.
Close enough. There, but, that's a compliment.
But yes, happy that people are going to like him now for being a winner more than him having Kimi in his name. But again, like I said, to Kimi Antonelli, I sincerely doubt you are ever going to see this. However, I want to put it out on the record there.
Take that solo shot, Ben. Take it.
I owe you an apology. I was not familiar with your game, as Shaquille O'Neal once said. Man, congratulations. Second youngest winner in Grand Prix history, only to Max Verstappen, I believe. So you got that going for you as well. But, man, you proved me wrong, and proved a lot of people wrong, I think, as well. Toto Wolff, like you said, Brandon, coming over the radio and quoting the doubters, saying, the hype isn't real. He's not ready. He needs more time. He should go to a smaller team. All things that I was saying for a couple of years as I watched him work his way up through the ranks and saw him in F2 and said, well, he looks like he's good. He looks like he's got potential, but let's maybe pump the brakes a little bit here. He has proven that he was ready for this promotion and to go head to head with George Russell, and each have one win after two races here. If Mercedes really do, if this is a 2014-16 situation where they are just so far ahead of everybody else, championship on. I would still, I think at this point, I would still be more inclined to make George Russell my championship pick. And obviously, he doesn't have a championship yet either. He's been somebody that has been highly rated as a potential future world champion. This might be the best chance. That might be. I think this is the best chance that he's ever had to win a world title. So he's not going to lay over by any means. But Kimi Antonelli proved this week that he can hang with one of the best in the business in George Russell here. And Kobe, right there with you. Both got to eat some Kimi Antonelli crow live on the air. So at least, but again, I think
with
that
some
that
pesto, with some pesto,
even some more. There you go, Brandon. Makes it even more sweet and refreshing for Kimi to have this win. The fact that there were so many people saying, is this kid really ready? Is he going to be able to amount to the hype and live up to the massive expectations here? He's, like I said, certainly proved all of his doubters wrong this week here. As well, Iceman bringing up Lewis here, kind of low-key wish Lewis stuck it out in Mercedes until 2025. So Antonelli could have been a rookie this year and could have at least fought to try and be a rookie world champion. Yeah, you could look at it that way, but you could also make the argument, well, if he hadn't had that experience from last, obviously I know the regulations are very, very different, but to have the experience against that level of competition and the racecraft of last year, did that play any role in any of the decisions that he made this weekend? I'm not sure, but that is an interesting way to look at that as well. Of course, Lewis came very close to winning it as a rookie, and we should also give our congratulations to Lewis as well. About time he got a podium in red. Yeah. It's been a long time for him. And again, with the way reliability looks so far this year, if those Mercedes, if they have an issue like McLaren had this year, again, I wish I saw Kobe mention in the chat that we're still built in. Wished I would have been awake so that I could have been making some Papaya Fools jokes as the pre-race was going on there. Neither McLaren even starting the race. Oscar Piastri still has not taken a lap.
It's a disaster. Disaster. McLaren and Red Bull last year, top of the field. It's completely turned on its head this year. Feel terrible for Isaac Hadger being on the counterpart there at Red Bull, and Verstappen just having two horrible starts from off the grid.
Yeah.
Well, but in these three that we've had, if you include the sprint race, but just terrible fortune for both of those top tier teams in these new regulations.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, it is still early. And if there's any team that has been known in recent years to start slow and then build on that as the season goes on and start competing for wins and eventually championships, like they won the constructors the last 2 years, and Lando obviously winning the drivers last year, it is McLaren. But the way they look right now, I think it's probably going to be tough for them to even start challenging Ferrari anytime soon for second best, let alone where Mercedes are at right now to start 2026. So we will continue to keep an eye on that as we transition here to just a little more casual, laid-back discussion, shooting the breeze here. We should also mention before we move on, the Bahrain and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix races have been called off. No surprise there. That was the rumor that we thought was going to happen for a while now, obviously ever since the situation broke out in the Middle East. So we will certainly continue to hold everybody in that part of the world in our thoughts, and wish for peace in that region. It something like this feels pretty inconsequential when you're talking about something of that magnitude, but it is relevant. It is going to reduce the schedule from 24 to 22 races, because that's the other thing. Those races will not be relocated. There were some points of discussion being brought up, like, oh, could we go back to Mugello, or oh, could we host?
Love to go to Mugello.
Yeah.
Hate that.
I think, unfortunately, a lot easier said than done, or much more easy to take some shortcuts in those procedures when it's 2020 and you're trying to get as many races as possible on the calendar so that you can have a season. I think this situation is a little bit different. We still have 22 races, which I still think is more than we need. I think 19 is the sweet spot. 20 is starting to push it. 21 should be the absolute cap. 24 to me is just absolute insanity. So again, I wish it were under better circumstances. And I know it's certainly, I don't mean to cry for billionaires here, but it is going to hurt F1 in the pocketbooks. That's a lot of money that they're not going to have from these two races happening. Super
oh no,
devastated for them on that or anything, but is worth bringing up. That's why I think that's a big reason why those races exist in the first place. And it is going to impact the schedule of the championship in that regard. Again, if we had 25 races last year, I think Max Verstappen is the 5-time defending world champion. So who knows if this championship opens and then closes back up, what that might look like when it comes time. But again, where's the final race of the year? It's in Abu Dhabi. It's in that same part of the world, right? In Qatar as well, to close out the year.
It is kind of cool though that all the Bahrain testing notes you can just throw out for this year.
Well, there is that too.
Because you were thinking you're going to have that for the Grand Prix weekend, but now you don't.
Yeah. So again, very fluid, rapidly changing situation that again we continue to monitor and wish the best for everybody. But that is worth keeping in the back of your mind as well. You know, there are still 2 races in the Middle East on the back end of the calendar, and who knows what the future is going to hold for that situation as well. I mean, I don't want to open that can of worms there too much because there's a lot that I could say about that. But this is a racing show, and we'll try to keep it a little bit more lighthearted as we continue on here for the rest of the night. A couple more comments from our former colleagues here, Joe and Kobe. Oscar, there you go. Oscar hasn't even been on the grid for the first 2 rounds. It's been a disaster for McLaren, like we mentioned. Even the Aston Martins have started both races and made it further in Shanghai than McLaren. Thank you, Kobe, for bringing that up. Brandon, did you see the onboard of Alonso literally taking his hands off the steering wheel?
I did not. No.
The vibrations were so bad on the straight that he literally had to take his hands off the steering wheel, and that the onboard footage. Absolutely. Adrian Newey designed this, man. Can you believe it? So wow. I think they can go ahead and write off the rest of the year here. I think Cadillac has a tiebreaker. I saw Bottas was 13th. At least both of their cars finished the race this weekend. So credit to Cadillac for continuing to move in the right direction there. Checo 15th, I believe, as well. Kobe also adding Apple TV is only good for getting commercial-free F1 TV.
That's
but
facts.
I still miss Sky Sports F1 coverage. Yeah, Kobe, I don't know if
you can watch the international feed. Yeah. So
if you have to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling all the way down to the bottom. But I believe it is the very bottom of the last option. Apple does have the Sky feed pulled up there. I don't know what the commercial situation. I would hope that they're just airing it, obviously, because Sky doesn't have commercials. But I've watched. I didn't watch China. The days of me staying up until 5 a.m. to watch 3 a.m. start times are long gone. I'm closer
Also,
to 30 than 20. I can't do that anymore. But from what I saw in Australia, I watched on F1 TV. Enjoyed the experience there, but it is an option still if you prefer the Sky commentators.
Yeah, Kobe, on F1 TV, you can go in and have the sidebar where you can have F1 TV Live, International, and then all the driver cameras.
Yes, yeah, I'll check it out for Japan. Thanks for the note. Yeah, again, like I said, for the diehards, I think the Apple deal has been great. The first 2 races, I have no complaints whatsoever. But I can't look at the people that are still that haven't again. And it'd be one thing if it were Netflix or Prime as well. But Apple, to me, it's like I feel like we made this move a little bit too early. I don't know what they haven't released numbers that I've seen. I don't know, Brandon, have you seen any numbers for how many people are
I haven't seen any numbers, but I do like the merging with the playing nice with Netflix though, and have throwing Drive to Survive on Apple TV. That was a nice move, and there's going to be some. Of course, there's going to be some of these races where they're going to show it, for free. But still, you got to find your way over there, and if you don't know where you're looking, then you don't know about going to Apple TV to find F1 in America. So yeah, that's something we talked about preseason, and we're going to talk about it throughout the year. I'm sure it'll come up and a much bigger impact once we get to Monaco in June this year, and not Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm glad I have it. My Union are 0-4 to start the year. They have 0 points through 4 games. I haven't been using the MLS Pass, but the MLS Pass doesn't even exist anymore. It's all they got rid of that. It's all with Apple. But I have not been watching much of that in recent years, or in recent weeks, I should say. Years. What am I talking about? It feels like it's been 4 years through these first 4 games here. Watching the Union try to so much as score 1 goal from open play. Which they finally did in the 87th minute, I believe, in their most recent game against Atlanta. They lost 3-1, though, still, so not much of a consolation there. Let's talk about IndyCar real quick here. Again, from what I could tell, and again, I'm not as much up to date with the series these days, but it was kind of hard to miss all of the promotion for the Arlington Grand Prix. I saw Jerry Jones was on the Fox pre-race show. Seemed to be a success. I must confess, I wish we were still at Texas Motor Speedway, I must say. But, Brent, I don't know if you got to catch any of the IndyCar race. I think Alex Palou still certainly a favorite for the championship until further notice. But if there's anybody making a case for his strongest competition or the number 2 driver in the series right now, Kyle Kirkwood is doing a heck of a job doing that.
Yeah, the most I heard about the Grand Prix of Arlington was they set the new standard for how IndyCar weekends need to be structured and built. It was apparently a really great success around the house that Jerry Jones built. And Kyle Kirkwood put a really clean move around Alex Palou to take the victory. And Palou gave him credit for his craftsmanship around him there in the final laps. And so, yeah, if the schedule was filled with Arlington and Long Beach, I think Kyle Kirkwood would be a really strong competitor for the championship. This is his best opportunity he's had in his career to take a title. But he showed it last year too. He's going to be the one to face Alex Palou and try to fight him in the points battle. And he's going to be representing Andretti Global in that front. And Andretti Global all had a really solid weekend at Arlington. Also with the new guy in town, Will Power, loving his Honda engine. At least we love
power as well.
Yeah, we love Honda here in the States. It's working on these IR18s anyway. So Kyle Kirkwood's going to be the one to take it to Palou if he can.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to I'll give a shout out to both the IndyCar and the NASCAR field this week. Going back to what we were talking about at the start of the show with Denny Hamlin. And also want to say thank you to I believe your real name is Danny, if I remember correctly. I appreciate you. Guess you're in Australia right now. I love the Australian accent in the video as well, but better than my 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. wake ups for NASCAR Mondays for me. So,
Mondays.
That's
goodness.
Yeah, certainly.
Sorry about that.
That's the drawback, I guess, of being a global sport here is for your part of the region, obviously Australia, and then China and Japan to follow. It's pretty convenient for you, but for us here in the States and for our friends over in the UK and in Europe, certainly having to rewire our sleep schedule a little bit to keep up with the F1 season at this moment in time, at the very least. But shout out to both IndyCar and NASCAR. In Brock Beard's Patreon chat, just a couple of weeks ago, actually, a Patreon subscriber brought up the question, have we ever had a last place finisher that finished on the lead lap? And ironically enough, we came, I think, about as close as you're ever going to come to that in NASCAR this week. Shane Van Gisbergen, your last place finisher, only 5 laps down. Nobody went to the garage at one point throughout the entire race.
Wow.
So a very clean race, and credit to the field for getting the job done there on that front end, to the mechanics. No mechanical or engine failures. IndyCar, very similarly, I had the race on in the background. I was watching the last couple of laps. I believe Mick Schumacher only got lapped with about 10 to go. I was tracking. It seemed to me like he was okay. He's 70 seconds back. He's 80 seconds back here. These are a little more than 90-second laps. If this goes green, we maybe have a chance to have a last place finisher that runs all the laps here. But of course, ultimately, a few cars did get lapped there by Kirkwood at the end, and then we had a couple of we had a quick caution, quick restart, and an incident that came after that with Grosjean and Siegel getting tangled up, and Rasmussen going into the tires, or into the wall rather, to bring out the caution before then. Unfortunately not meant to be, but showing perhaps if you tweak a couple of things, it might be possible. I remember it's happened in Formula E a couple of times. Obviously, those races are a lot shorter, but that's the only series that I can think of where we've not only had everybody finish, but even the last place finisher finished on the lead lap. So credit to, again, I know we kind of ruined it with IndyCar there at the end with a couple of minor incidents, but very clean races overall from both of those fields this week in Arlington and Las Vegas. On another note, shout out to the History Channel. Just tore off my 365-day calendar today. Guess what this day in history was? On the History Channel box calendar, March 16th, 2006, First Lady of Drag Racing is inducted into Hall of Fame. And I'll read what the calendar said to me this morning. On March 16th, 2006, Shirley Muldowney, known as the First Lady of Drag Racing, was inducted into the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame. Born in Vermont in 1940 and raised in upstate New York, Muldowney was known for her near obsession with speed, competition, and winning. Starting as a street racer, she became a pioneer drag racing legend and the first woman to receive a license to drive a top fuel dragster from the National Hot Rod Association, NHRA, in 1965. Accomplishments during her 40-year career included being the first woman to win a national NHRA event and the first driver of any gender to win 3 NHRA World Championships, 1977, 80, and 82. She also won 18 NHRA titles, setting various speed and track records and dominating multiple events. So that is your day in history from the History Channel's daily box calendar.
Thank you, History Channel.
Yes,
Thank you, Shirley.
And shout out Shirley.
You can call her Shirley.
Yes. A motorsports legend and pioneer. Again, I know we don't talk NHRA as much on this show or on our grid shows in the past, but it came up a couple of times on Women in Motorsports, I remember, and she's a big reason for that, and also a big reason. Again, I always say, people ask all the time, when Hailie Deegan won her few West Series races, or when Jade Avedissian takes the pole in the West race, Kern to open up this season, why the qualifier? Why do we have to say, a female driver accomplishes this in ARCA or in NASCAR or whatever? And I'll never forget. I remember Dave Moody a couple of years ago on his Sirius XM Speedway show using NHRA as an example. When Erica Enders wins a race, it doesn't say female driver Erica Enders wins NHRA event. It just says Erica Enders wins, or Erica Enders is the winner this week. Yeah. They don't put the qualifier there because they don't need it, because there have been so many successful female drivers like John Force's daughters, all making a name for themselves in the NHRA. And obviously Erica and Shirley Muldowney was who paved the way for that to happen. So again, we continue.
We still haven't reached that frontier on this side of motorsports. That's why we still have to use the title.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully will come a day where that's not the case, but
and credit where it's due to the Janet Guthries and the Lynn St. Jameses, and yes, even the Danica Patrick is the only one that's won. She still has where the bar is set.
The Pippa Mans.
So Pippa Man as well.
Yeah.
We've had
Catherine
plenty
Legg.
of talented female drivers in recent years, but I mean, I was hoping Jamie Chadwick would stick it out in Indy next for one more year, but she's off in another chapter in her career now in endurance
Right.
racing, and you're seeing it in endurance as well with the Iron Dames and what that program accomplished over the last few years. So I think we're getting there, but NHRA certainly is a leader on that front, and again, Shirley Muldowney was a trailblazer in that regard. So thank you again to and it, big enough for the History Channel to consider it the most noteworthy thing that happened on March 16th, apparently. So there you go. And finally tonight, a couple of final things outside of the world of motor racing. Want to give a shout out to Team USA's Paralympic sled hockey team, taking the gold medal 3 for 3 in hockey events at the Olympics and Paralympics. And I hope that the women's Paralympic sled hockey team can actually get to the I shouldn't say Paralympic. They're not a Paralympic team yet because there are not enough women's sled hockey teams to be sent to the Paralympics to have that as an event there. We hope that that can be the case in 2030. But as of right now, every hockey event that we had in Milan Cortina, Team USA came out on top with the gold medals. Shout out to our baseball team as well in the World Baseball Classic. I know a little bit of controversy with that last pitch last night, but we will still take it, I guess, and be ready for the championship game tomorrow.
Italy and Venezuela playing tonight to see who they'll challenge, right?
I think Philadelphia Phillies' own Aaron Nola is on the mound for Italy tonight as well. So I got a couple players in Italy that would certainly not be able to root against here. I know Italy put 8 runs on the United States in full play there, so I don't know if that's the desired matchup necessarily for the final, although the USA did come back and make it 8-6 and make it an interesting ending to that game, but we'll keep our eye on that as well. Also have to give a shout out, Bam Adebayo dropping 83 points in an NBA game. I don't want to hear anybody making fun of those last 5 or 7 minutes of that game. I understand it got a little ridiculous. I blame the Washington Wizards, number one. I mean, you talk about Bam Adebayo taking 43 free throws. Stop fouling the guy. That's number one. Number two, if you have an opportunity to stay in a game and break a record, you absolutely take it. I cannot speak for Kobe Bryant. God rest his soul. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. But hearing stories about who Kobe Bryant was and knowing the competitive fire that man possessed in him, I have no doubt that he would have wanted Bam to go get his record. It's his record for the modern NBA. We all know Wilt Chamberlain has the 100-point game. And also, by the way, anybody that wants to bring up stat padding or how ridiculous that game got, go do some research into Wilt's 100-point game, which did happen, by the way. I've seen these conspiracy theories popping up around all over the internet too. It's like as if we don't have video footage, so it didn't happen. If that were the case, then nothing before whenever the video camera was invented would be undisputed history there. But man, that game was like this game between the Heat and the Wizards on steroids. I mean, they were fouling, they were doing everything they could to get Wilt the ball. The Knicks were absolutely dreadful, just like the Wizards were. The parallels are so evident in so many ways. I don't want to hear a word about how unethical this was or how awful this was for the game of basketball. Bam Adebayo, of all people, dropping 83. Want to give him a shout out for a much deserved career performance. What was his previous career high? I think 41, not even half of that total. And I have 31. And that was the other thing. Again, he had 31 after the first quarter. What was it? 42 at the half, I think. I mean, as if I feel like we are treating 83 as if it is somehow less of an achievement based on how he got his final 10 or so points than a 73-point game or a 70-point game or even a 60-point game would be through 3 quarters. Like, I mean, the man got to 83 because he had already proven himself in the first 3 quarters based on, I guess, what you could call traditional or ethical basketball if you want. But Kobe, thank you for this. I'm right there with you. It seems like people just look for reasons to be unhappy and angry. Congrats.
That is very true.
That's the thing. I get a lot of criticism all the time. When I'm complaining about a race that went into overtime that changed the outcome of who was going to win that race or our playoff format and everything last year. And people wondering, we got a great, exciting finish. Why can't you just be happy? You're so negative. You complain about everything under the sun. And then I turn around and see some of these people on a night like this. And a lot of times they're the same people. They're the same people in my mentions. I go to their profile and see that they're just as miserable as they claim that I am here. And it's just, you can't help but laugh to keep yourself from crying at the absurdity of the situation there. But again, wanted to make sure I gave that a shout out. I know it's been a few days, but this is our first time on the air since then. History making night in the NBA, and some more potential future history coming as well. I should mention this. Very excited to hear the Board of Governors is going to vote on approving the proposed teams in Seattle and Las Vegas coming to the NBA as well. Hopefully, I wonder if Luis is still watching. Hope that he is. Bring the Seattle Supersonics back. I think it's about time. So certainly looking forward to seeing where that goes. Yeah. All right. Well, otherwise, that's going to be it for the show here tonight, unless anybody has any final questions I want to throw out here in the chat. Kind of teased it here in throughout the O'Reilly segment of the show, but work continues on Always Stay Under Green, the upcoming I think it's probably going to be a multi-part series at this point with how deep I've gotten into it, but I am in the process of, as soon as this show wraps up, I'm going to finish rewatching Nashville 2 tonight, the second race. Kind of like where I'm at in my season rewatch here. We got a few standalones coming up, and going to be an opportunity for the series regulars to shine. I certainly hope we don't have a series regular get pulled from the car, but he sits on pole and leads the first 43 laps with to let a Cup driver finish the race. What a tragedy that would be. I certainly am not expecting that we see anything like that to come here in the next couple of races. But on that note, Brandon, any final thoughts before we sign off for the evening?
Well, the race you're about to watch tonight, I'm pretty sure this was one of my first NASCAR experiences, was the Federated Auto Parts 300 at Nashville Superspeedway. I believe it was around 2007 or 2008. So I was in the number there at that little grandstand. So enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. Carl Edwards win that night, just out of curiosity?
I do not remember.
Okay. Because he swept the two races there.
We saw a lot of backflips from Carl at Nashville. So he did win a lot there.
Yeah. All right. Well, for my final thoughts, I do just want to send a quick shout out to my favorite basketball player, men's or women's, Nika Mule, UConn graduate, sat out all of last season with a torn ACL that she unfortunately sustained in the EuroLeague after her rookie season with Seattle Storm. I only heard about this today. Again, news doesn't quite travel as fast when it's going on over there in Europe. I think it was FIBA qualifiers or something like that. Seems to have sustained another pretty serious injury here. Once again, I hadn't heard any official confirmation one way or the other, but she did just put an update on her Instagram story tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, probably tonight over there in Europe, saying she's thankful for the well wishes and everything. She'll provide an update in due time. So it sounds pretty serious. Certainly keeping my fingers crossed, hoping for the best. But I want to send my continued thoughts out to her. Hopefully we see her back on the court soon, because I love the way that she plays. She's one of the best teammates that anybody could ever have. I've always loved seeing her get fired up on the bench for her team, and didn't get a ton of playing time in Seattle her first year, but certainly hope she can eventually rebound from these injuries that she's been having to deal with the last couple of years, and want to send my best out to her. For Brandon Crossland, I'm Ben Schneider. Thank you so much for joining us on another Motorsport Monday. We will see you next week with all the news and highlights to recap from the ongoing races. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great rest of your Monday night and great rest of your week. We will see you on a little less than 167-hour break once again here on the Ben Schneider channel. Have a good week, everybody.